I mean, the idea sounds kinda cool, having a difficulty that is above extreme. However, that does lead to a bunch of issues that I want to talk about today. So if you're new here, hello. And if you're not new, then slap that like button anyway. But yeah, let's just jump straight to the topic. And today in today's video, I want to talk about the problems with having a new difficulty demon. And I also want to provide a possible solution as to how it may be fixed. And another thing I want to also talk about is extreme demons having more than 10 stars, because I do think this is a very important thing to have in the game, as like, beating a slaughterhouse is not going to be as rewarding as beating blast processing, which is not even a demon, but they still give you the exact same reward. So I think to give the players more motivation to play harder levels would be just to give them more rewards, because I think when I play like an insane demon, for example, I usually don't play it for the reward anymore. I just play it for enjoyment. And I think this factor of adding a reward to it makes it kind of more motivational for the players to play levels that actually give you like a worth it reward, if you want to call it that. And firstly, let's talk about the new difficulty. Let's say this is the new difficulty in Geometry Dash 2.2 or potentially 2.3. We don't know, but why could this be a problem? Problem for that has already risen in 2.1 with the current separations of demons. We have the easy demon, we have the medium demon, and we also have hard demon, insane, and also extreme demon. And we have the same issues where constantly there are harder and harder levels coming out, and then like all of them are, if they are really hard, they are obviously gonna be rated extreme demon. But if you take on a look at Bloodbath, for example, or Aku, and then compare it with Slaughterhouse, it should nowhere be the same difficulty. Absolutely not. But so should, the Nightmare not be compared to Bloodbath. But they do have a separate rating. But the main issue rises when it comes to really difficult levels and how we would rate them. Now, the way these work, like the difficulty phases for the demons, is that once a level is rated, once a demon is rated, it's by default on a hard demon, and then people can play it and then rate it themselves, whether they think it's an extreme, it's a medium, and stuff like that. And upon time, it depends on what people say, and then the level is going to basically adopt to the rating that the people have suggested, which I think is a fair idea to do it. However, now, like looking at it, I honestly, yeah, Bloodbath, the level that a few years ago when it was verified, everybody thought it was impossible. Now, I would not be surprised if it was changed to a insane demon. I really would not be surprised at this point, because like I said, the difficulty gap is just so monumental. You can't imagine, like some guy who did the Nightmare, let's say, or let's compare it to an insane demon. Some guy who did what is a cool insane demon? Let's say Supersonic. Supersonic is very known, everybody knows it. Let's say somebody just did Supersonic as their hardest. Me, I literally just beat Supersonic on stream a few days ago, so I could take myself as a perfect example here. And so the next difficulty would be extreme demon, right? From an insane to an extreme. Sounds very very good. And now you search for some extreme demons, and the difficulty is all over the place. You have like, I can jump from a hard demon from 9 circles to Supersonic with no problems. However, I cannot jump from Supersonic to Slaughterhouse or Ekron or Tidal Wave or stuff like that, bro. That would be scary. And this is the main issue with the rating system, which is why people have suggested that why don't we get like a new difficulty demon? Well, because I have already kind of answered this question in this video, because once more levels come out, it's just gonna basically try to squish all of the levels possible in that range. And if you have such difficulty gaps at some point, you're not gonna be able to rank these levels. For example, you can't just put Bloodbath as a hard demon and then basically like the top 10 demons could be an extreme demon, and then the top 100 could be an insane demon. This doesn't really work like that. We could do it, but then most of the demons will end up being an easy or a medium demon, and then like the really hard ones would take the top place. So if we added a new difficulty like this one, for example, it's not gonna fix stuff, and I think it's just gonna make things more messy, because the range is basically a little bit bigger, and then we are basically expecting a new difficulty every single update, which would not work for a long time span. So I thought of a different idea on how we can fix this issue, and I think because the only way to know how exactly we can fix this issue is by looking at the issue itself. The issue itself is that we have so many levels ranging from variant difficulties, and the difficulty limits keep being pushed every single time. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, let's say the nightmare is a difficulty of maybe 100, and then we have supersonic at 400, and you have bloodbath at maybe 800, and you have slaughterhouse, which is like 2500 points. Let's just put them, let's just represent them as how many points they would be upon their difficulties. And then you have some levels like tidal wave, which just got verified. It's probably like 5000 or something like that. So if somebody made a level harder than tidal wave and it also got verified and rated, that would even push the limit even further. So the only way to fix this issue is by using numbers, because numbers are infinite. Numbers are just like this range that we have that is basically, it keeps being pushed every single time. And there comes a point where, there is no gonna be a point where there's no gonna be a new hardest demon. I think every few months maybe there's gonna be like a new hardest, which is just, it's absolutely insane in this community, I have to say. But still, I think the only way we can fix it is with numbers. And how exactly would we be able to do that? Well, like I said, if the nightmare, for example, is calculated at 500 points or 400 or 100 or whatever, and then the harder levels could be just ranked as a higher ranking, basically. And the reason why we don't go with, being one of the hardest levels being a 0 or a 1 is because we don't want to keep changing numbers. In this scenario, we just want to keep the numbers still and make them never change no matter how many new levels come out. And so the only reasonable thing to do here is basically I think to accurately fix this issue with numbers would basically to rework the way the demons work in the first place. Because 71 demons, what is this? This could be, I've beaten the top 71 hardest demons in the game, or I could have beaten like Nightmare and stuff like that, and the easiest demons of the game. You can't really tell. So I think the best way would be to have demon points. I think this is a new idea. So instead of having, we can maybe have how many demons you have, but then there should be a new stat called demon points, and it basically calculates how many points you have collected from beating demons. And for example, if the Nightmare, like I said, had 100 demon points, you would beat it, and then that would be basically like a new variable in which you can calculate how good a player are. For example, you can take a look at me. You can't really know if I'm that good at the game from just this picture. If you see 71 demons, you would say, I don't know, he might be a top player, but he might also be a newbie who just beat a bunch of map packs from the demons and stuff like that. And also I have 2500 stars, so probably a newbie. Hasn't even beaten a medium demon or something. But I have beaten like 3 insane demons so far, but you can't tell that from the profile, which is why I think the profile should also be reworked with demon points. Now, I would like to see what you guys think about this, because I think this is a perfect solution for this system. Basically, if you have, I also want to talk about the stars and how much rewarding these demons could be in a bit, but let's now stick to this. I think this is a perfect way to like stay away from difficulty, because you can't infinitely create more difficulty demons. Like the limits keeps being pushed, so the only solution would be to use numbers here. And yeah, I think like if you go on, maybe for now we could still have these ratings, but bloodbath could give you like 1000. And the way these points would be determined is gonna be by perhaps maybe mods, or maybe like these demon list mods. They could also be a part of that. I think that would be a very useful thing to do. And this way I think there's just way more balance, and this way you could know how good people really are. Because if I take a look at somebody like this guy, he may be better at me at the game just because he has a demon. This may be Slaughterhouse, which determines that he's better than me. So yeah, I think demon points are probably the best thing that I could come up with. So yeah, let me know what you think about this in the comments. And now let's move on to the amount of stars that the demons give you. All of them give you 10 stars of course. There's no question why this is a corrupt system, but it's not easy to fix it, because many people say it's easy. You have a bunch of difficulty ratings, and why don't you just make this guy give you, for example, 12 stars, 15, 20, 30 or something like that? And there are 2 reasons why this doesn't work. The first one is because if you have a medium rated demon in here, or we can actually go to Ice, what is it called? Like that one demon. This one, Ice Carbon Diablo X. This level is an extreme demon. And let's say this level gives you 30 stars, and you have beaten the demon, and a while, like after a few months, for example, or after a few weeks, there are harder levels, and then this level gets pushed down to a insane demon, and then it only gives you 20 stars, but you have already collected the 30 stars. So how could that really work? It can't be displayed on your profile. while then. This I chose this level specifically because this a few like I think a month ago this level was an insane demon, and then it switched to extreme, and before it was an insane it was an extreme, so it basically went from extreme insane and then extreme again. So my point is that demons basically switch difficulties from now on, really like now and then, and also there are a lot of trolls, basically just rate levels absolutely ridiculously, and that could also lead to a bunch of problems. And the second reason why we can't have different stars, amount of stars for these levels, is because it kind of ties back to the point that I talked about at the first part of this video, and it's that demons, like there are constantly more and more demons coming, like more and more, the limits are being pushed more and more, like we're getting harder and harder levels every single time. So if you really want to have a system that, you know, rewards you stars for how hard it is, then this one's absolutely corrupt, because you can't beat Bloodbath, get 10 stars or 50 stars or whatever, and then beat Slaughterhouse and get 50. The system would still be corrupt. And a solution to fix this would obviously be, again, using numbers, because again, we are here talking about limits that are being pushed constantly. And the way this is actually a little bit more complex than the first one, but you cannot do something such as, you know, for example, when Bloodbath was the hardest demon in the game, they would give him like 50 stars, and by this point, coming with Slaughterhouse, Sliding Cups, 7 stuff like that, you would end up with like levels that have 1,000 stars or something, which, to be honest, is kind of worth it. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit ridiculous and not really that usual in game development, but I think this is actually like the only way that you can handle this, because I know it's not very healthy for, like, you know, the games. How do I call this? Like it just isn't usual for a game to have ridiculous amount of rewards for stuff like that you complete. You know, for example, let's say there's an achievement for like getting 1,000 stars, and there's also achievement for getting 900, and also 700, and also so on until you get to, like, I think 100 is the first one. So basically by beating one level you would unlock 10 achievements, which is kind of a problem. And by this point, that means that every time you beat a new level, you would basically get more stars. Every time there's a new level, you would basically raise the amount of stars that could be obtained from it. And as we can see, there's also a bunch of inconsistencies with these systems, because sometimes these levels do get switched up and down, and you can't, once you have a set amount of stars for a level, you can no longer change it. This is why RobTop doesn't re-rate levels. If there's a level, maybe like an easy demon, and he rates it already a demon, he can like revert it to an insane 9-star, but he won't, because it leads to a lot of issues, and we don't want that. So I think this is all my thoughts I have. I think the demon points thing was a very useful thing, and I think yeah, some things are a little bit complicated than you think, but I would like to know what you guys think about this, and I will probably be streaming at this point, so make sure to join in. Click here if you want to join, and I will see you guys in the next video. I love you guys. 2.2 is coming soon, bro. At this point, 2.2 is not even real, bro.